Good, blah, 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 blah. Leadwerks engineers, hello, this is Weekend Workshop. I'm your host, Josh, and in this show, we'll be discussing the last 2 weeks of Leadwerks development. 2 weeks because last weekend I took my annual day off. I did it, and I'm not sorry. I did nothing, and it was everything that I hoped it would be. Today we'll be determining in one quick conversation what is the one true Linux distribution that should rule them all. I don't think that will take very much time. After that, we'll decide which major religion is the one true one and which political opinion is the correct one. Of course, there's only one, and we're going to hammer that out right now. First, let's talk about what happened over the last 2 weeks. 16 bugs were fixed in Leadwerks. Some of them were... there's not really any major bugs anymore, but there's some things that were pretty nice to get solved. That puts us at about almost 98% solved. So that's really fantastic. My goal right now is to get 5.0.2 out, which is just going to give you guys I'm going to try to solve every little issue I can and maybe throw in some small little improvements because I'm about to go back into research and development for Leadwerks 5.1, which is going to be aimed... so Leadwerks 5.0, it's aimed at... it's very well optimized to eliminate CPU overhead in the rendering, in the renderer. And so it's optimized so that the GPU, it'll take full advantage of your GPU. However, it's come to my attention that a huge amount of people, according to the Steam hardware survey, a very large number of people, about 55% of people are actually using the same computers they were using 10 years ago. About 30, and those people that are upgrading, most of them are upgrading to the low end of the newer cards. So they're not buying 4080s, they're buying 3060s, 4060s. Excuse me. AMD 6600 is a good card. That's in the priced pretty low. So the Leadwerks 5.1 is going to be aimed at optimization for low end and old hardware, and hopefully we might be able to increase the compatibility of the engine a bit, and actually we might even be able to lower the system requirements. Because people are using it right now on cards that I did not even realize were still in use. So that's still a priority. I also did a little bit of investigation of Linux, and that actually, strangely enough, that led me to some solutions for the renderer for SCP Containment Breach. Never would have guessed that. This week, of course, is the final week of the Winter Games tournament. Got that going on. It's really cool. We're starting to see some games being uploaded this weekend. It's really exciting to see them come in. We'll review that in a minute. And then we've got several updates for SCP Containment Breach on Steam I'll talk about. And then we also have a design proposal from Monkey Frog regarding how prefabs should behave in the editor. We'll talk about that too. So, on to what is the one true Linux. I don't think this will be a very long discussion because the winner is clearly Linux Mint. All right, so moving right ahead, let's move on to politics and religion. So, I tried a few different distros recently. Because I had heard some things about Bazite, and it seemed pretty cool. I like their name, I like their logo, I like their branding, I like the color scheme and stuff. And the install process was very nice, very smooth. It worked very nicely. Basically, the problem with Bazite is it's made for consoles. It's made for homemade consoles. It's like an alternative to SteamOS if you have something other than a Steam machine. And you don't want to use SteamOS, which is understandable because SteamOS is only really meant at this point. It's really only meant for Valve's hardware. I don't think there hasn't been an update for the general desktop SteamOS in years. So Bazite is for consoles, and as soon as you try to do some development on it, you'll understand why. Now, it might be perfectly fine as a desktop operating system if you're just playing games, and even if you're just running programs. It seems like it does a really good job of that. But as soon as you start installing like C++ compiling tools and stuff, then you're gonna start hitting walls, and it's gonna get very difficult. There's a Bazite, I think it's called Bazite DX for developers. Somebody needs to tell them that DX usually refers to DirectX. I'm not sure if they know about that. But Bazite for developers, you can like, what is it called? Like rebase. There's a command you can enter into the console to rebase the operating system as the developer version, and I did that, and then it bricked the install. So yeah, I'm not really recommending Bazite for the purpose of a development desktop machine. Fedora is what Bazite is based on, and I actually like the KDE and what is it called? KDE and Plasma, whatever. I don't know which part is which, but it looks good. And they have a Steam OS, or they have a Steam, the old school Steam user interface. They have a style for that where it's like that green army looking thing. That was like pre Half-Life 2, but it looked really cool. I liked that. As soon as you try to, but you know, when you go to install your graphics drivers on Fedora, like it's not a very straightforward process. It's like, okay, I have to mess around with the terminal, and maybe it'll work, maybe it'll not. I hope that this command from 5 years ago, I hope this still works. Once you get into that situation, and like if that's what you see, it's like, okay, well, this isn't, you know, the people at Fedora, I'm not really a priority for them. They don't really care about what I care about. It's like you can, but it's not like, why would you need graphics drivers for a computer, dude? Bro, you can just copy files around. That's what a computer's for. Why would you need graphics drivers? Yeah, it's just, so Fedora, that's the point where I stopped looking into Fedora. Ubuntu is pretty good. Ubuntu is quite good. Unfortunately, they have the ugliest user interface in the world. They're still doing the Windows 8 thing, like long after Microsoft abandoned their, Microsoft had their like, a few years ago, like when so basically Steve Jobs released the iPad and everybody lost their minds and decided that tablets were going to replace PCs. Like they were really saying this. Like they were really saying that like, oh, everybody's going to be doing work on their tablets. The PC is dead. A lot of computer stores like changed their signage to say computers and tablets. Well, nobody buys. Once everybody got one iPad, they didn't really need to get another one. I mean, I've got an iPad. It's like an iPad 3, I think. And it just sits there. I turned it on, like I found it, and I turned it on like 6 months ago, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I just haven't used it since. And if I do use it, you can use it to like read articles on the internet. I don't know what else you would use it for. I mean, you can attach a keyboard to it, and then you've got a really shitty computer. Yeah, so my point is Ubuntu, it appears that with the user interface, they're hanging on to that Windows 8 tablet dream, like long after Microsoft has abandoned it. Now, Kubuntu is Ubuntu with KDE. Oh, that's interesting. So you can have the good-looking user interface and graphics drive, and you can install your graphics drivers. Oh, that's cool. I installed it, and it just after you know how you do the live boot, and then you run the install, and then when I restarted the computer, it just bricked the hard drive. So that was my experience. That's as far as I got with Kubuntu. Yeah. It appears to me, based on what I've seen, and other people may have different opinions. Everyone is free to have a wrong opinion. But it appears to me that Linux Mint is the desktop Linux. And the reason for that The reason I say that is it appears to me that they're the only ones who are even trying. Bazite? That's for consoles, really. Fedora? It's for server things that don't require graphics cards. They don't really want you to have graphics drivers installed, or it's just not a priority. Ubuntu, if you go on their website, it's all about server stuff, and I guess they're still trying to make touchscreens a thing. Kubuntu, well, my experience wasn't so good. Linux Mint is the one that just works. It looks good. I don't think it looks as good as KDE, but it still looks pretty good.
I like Linux Mint because it comes with all the utilities you need to actually use your computer right out of the box.
Like what?
Yes.
Like Package Manager, that's a good one. Formatting tools, printer tools. It comes with the Office suite already installed, so you don't have to download that. It just comes with a lot of utilities that if you install some other operating systems, it's like, oh, we didn't install them because you have to make a decision on what piece of software you want to use. So
I actually wish it just didn't come with anything, but
Linux Mint is pretty like the version of Linux for the mainstream users who have no experience about computers at all. You just show them a Mint and they can use it. It's very simple. Even kids can use it.
Well, Ubuntu was actually supposed to be computers for everyone else. Like, the idea of Ubuntu was that the average person can set up a Linux operating system and be fine. They kind of lost their way, and Linux Mint took that mantle and was like, people want Windows XP, Windows 7 again, and that's what they want.
Have you tried Debian? Debian vanilla release. I think that's also a good version for more advanced Linux users.
Well, Linux Mint actually has a branch off of Debian that is their deposit project, security deposit project, in case the Ubuntu branch goes totally out of whack. But I tried Debian, and because they don't believe in proprietary software, you do have to do a lot of work to get just something like Steam to be installed.
That's true. Yes, it needs more technical deepening. So Mint is a very good choice. I would go for it.
All right, so everybody agrees that Linux Mint is the one true desktop?
For most people who just want to use a computer like Windows.
For all. There can be only one. Actually, wow, I actually thought that was going to be... Okay, we solved it then. All right, all the other distros can stop what they're doing. It's just Linux Mint now. We solved it right here today.
Like 20 different Linux distros and always ended up with Debian and Mint. The others are just not good.
You know somebody's going to say that they use Arch in the comments.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to say that. It's going to be in the comments. I use Arch. I use Arch, by the way.
Yeah.
I like spending 3 hours setting up my system.
So anyways, yeah, I mean, Linux Mint, like, that's probably what I would use for a development machine from now on. And I was starting to... The reason I did this is I'm just starting to, get back into Linux stuff, and I wanted to do something. And something funny.
Question.
What?
What's your preferred IDE for Linux?
Probably Visual Studio Code. It's kind of funny that Microsoft has the best IDE on Linux. I don't know. I'll probably buy a license for Sea Lion. It still requires makefiles though, that was like a major. I was like, what the hell? Like I thought the whole reason of having a nice IDE is so you don't have to mess around with makefiles. But I'll still give it a chance. What do you like?
I haven't tried. I like Code Light, but it does have its own issues, and I couldn't get the debuggers to ever work. So there's that.
I like the Blitz 3D IDE. I kind of do like the simplicity of it, but it's also like very primitive. Um, okay, so funny thing, it's strange how like it feels like all of my whole like history of all the different things I've worked on, including like engines and Linux and Blitz 3D, 3D World Studio, Leadwerks. It seems like all of these things kind of converged last week in some funny ways. And one of those is that, okay, like the very last thing, I was like, I had messed around with Linux Mint enough, and I had done everything that I wanted to try. And I was about to shut the computer down and, boot back into Windows. And I was like, I want to try one more thing. I don't think it'll work, but I'm just going to try launching this game on Linux, and I'm just going to see what it does. I'm going to see what I just want to see what error it gives me before it crashes. And so I ran the game, and lo and behold, it worked perfectly. With the exception that the intro movies did not work. They just displayed like a weird screen, like a static image. I was like, oh, wow. Wow, they've done a lot of work on Wine/Proton. This is actually pretty good. So the game runs on Linux, and the way I fixed the videos so that they'll work on Linux, all I did is I just took the compressed videos and I just turned them. I think they're AVI files, and I just decompressed them. So now they're just uncompressed AVIs, and of course they take up a lot of space, but who cares? They work. The videos work on Linux now for the first time. Nobody's ever done that before. And then I was like, okay, so the game has a lot of problems. Like DirectX 7 does not run well today on today's computers. Blitz 3D was written with DirectX 7. For 3D World Studio, I needed something that was simple and didn't. And at the time, like DirectX was getting rewritten like every couple of years. You would get like a completely new version of DirectX. And I was like, well, OpenGL, it seems a lot simpler to program with, and it's also not constantly changing. I need something stable. I can't go back and, this takes so much time. I can't go back and rewrite my program every 2 years. Well, fast forward to today, and DirectX 7 is like barely functional. It doesn't work. Like, it has like 2 different full screen modes, and one works on AMD cards and one works on NVIDIA cards, and the other doesn't work, on the other, vice versa. So fast forward to today, and DirectX 7 is totally broken. But OpenGL works perfectly. It still works perfectly today. At the time, I got a lot of criticism because DirectX 7 came from a big company. Microsoft has a lot of money, and they know how to make good things. You want to be like Microsoft, don't you? If you use DirectX 7, you'll be like Microsoft and you'll have a lot of money too. None of those people have apologized to me. I'm going to go ahead and make another prediction. The current state of graphics APIs, which I would describe as the enshittification of graphics APIs, DirectX 12 and Vulkan. A lot of people in the industry, I can tell you, are not happy about this situation. They don't like it. And it's being forced on the industry. I'm going to make another prediction. I'm going to tell you that, like, eventually, the people who are behind that, they're gonna retire eventually. And they're going to leave behind them a mountain of technical debt. 20 years from now, after the industry has moved on to some new approach, and they will, absolutely no one is going to want to maintain a bunch of super complicated DirectX 12 and Vulkan code. No one's going to want to do that work in the future. And all the stuff that's running today is going to stop working. But OpenGL will still be fine. Let's come back in 20 years and see if that's right. Because that situation seems an awful lot like... It's not exactly the same. But the problems I saw with DirectX 7 were... It's overly complicated and it's constantly changing. Same situation today. We'll come back in 20 years and see. Okay, so... well, I looked at that and I was like, wow, so those DirectX 7 calls are being translated to OpenGL and running on Linux. What is the magic that powers this? And I found that, actually, you can compile Wine as a DLL for Windows, and you can use that to translate DirectX 7 into OpenGL. Now, there was a couple of other things like DX Voodoo, I think, some other things like that translate DX7 into like DX9 or something like that. There were a couple of other libraries that do that, but they didn't work very well. I tried Wine. I tried applying the Wine DLLs to the game, and it seemed to work perfectly. This solves all our problems. And as far as I know, nobody's done this before. Nobody tried applying Wine DX7 to OpenGL to Containment Breach. So if you're a modder and you want to expand on this game, that's what I would recommend. It seems to work really well. Currently, it does not work with Intel integrated graphics, so I will file a bug report with them. But other than that, it worked really well. It allows us to... DirectX 7 had a hard limit on the vertical resolution. I think it could only go up to like 1200 vertical resolution. So now the game can go up to... I've been playing SCP Containment Breach at 4K using OpenGL. Once I did that, I realized, most of the user interface is scaled, fortunately, but there's some elements that don't have any scaling. So I did have to add some DPI scaling to like the stamina and the blink meter in the game and to the inventory screen. The loading screen I haven't done yet. There are some elements in the loading screen that need to be scaled, and at smaller resolutions it runs okay, but like it really becomes obvious at 4K that there's a problem. So that's still work that needs to be done. But this is some very big progress. I also, this gets really weird. This is where, my experience becomes very useful because things are getting really weird now. OpenGL doesn't have any way of selecting what GPU it runs on. And Blitz 3D was invented before switchable graphics were even a thing. Switchable graphics are when you have a laptop that has integrated graphics that it uses most of the time, which is good for power consumption. And then for some applications, it will switch over to the discrete GPU, which gives you higher performance, but uses more power. The way you handle this with OpenGL is you have to compile the application with a special variable in it, and this is normally done in C code. So trying to compile this into a Blitz 3D application with a custom compiler, it never even uses C code. This gets very, very weird. I found a program by a company called Top 10 Software. Development, Design, Technology. Learn, Build, Play. Secure, Contain, Protect. Oh my gosh! Okay, so they have a program called NVPatch. And what it does is it takes any executable and it applies that patch to signal that the operating system should use the discrete GPU. I'm guessing since it's called NVPatch, they probably just created it for NVIDIA, and then but AMD has the same thing. It's just a different variable you declare. So, and it handles both NVIDIA and AMD, but the program is called NVPatch. Problem. This little utility, as useful as it is, it only works on 64-bit executables. And Blitz 3D makes 32-bit executables. It's a completely different CPU architecture. It's a completely different kind of executable. So I contacted this company, and I explained to them like what I was doing and why I needed it. And I begged them to make a 32-bit, to add support for 32-bit executables. And they were nice enough to do that very quickly. So now this NVPatch program, because of that, it now supports 32-bit executables, and that's what I used to make. That's why the game will now run. If you run it on your laptop and you have a discrete card and integrated graphics, it will choose the discrete card. That is a weird series of events. That is a weird, and like a lot of this was just relies on, previous knowledge that I had. And then, that just, of course I still had to like discover a lot of this, but this is just some weird technical stuff that not very many people in the world know. But now, I'm happy to share this information with you. That's how you do it. So if you're modding the game, and if you need help, feel free to reach out to me and I'll tell you like what actually you need to do to make the game run on modern computers. And also, while I'm at it, ours is not the only version of Containment Breach on Steam. There's also another version that's being developed by the SCP Community Preservation Project. That might be worth checking out too. I think they're using a little bit different of a technology. They're using DirectX 9. And until we get that bug fixed with Intel, if you only have Intel graphics, if you don't have switchable graphics, because this is using DirectX 9, it's possible that version might work better than ours currently. I don't know. I haven't tried that myself, but it's always a possibility. So, this game is kind of like Linux distributions. There's not just one. You can just, you just need to just try a few, and you're sure to find the one that you love. And I can tell you, so I'm a technical person, and that's my background, and so I'm approaching everything. I'm approaching this from a technical perspective, and that's what my focus is on. I can tell you the team behind the Community Preservation Project, they have a lot of love and dedication for this game. So you might see some things done a little bit differently from what I'm doing. I'd encourage you to just try them all and see what you like best. Here's the videos running on Linux for the first time. I don't think anybody's ever done this before. It's not that hard. You just have to decompress the AVIs so that Linux can load them, or Wine can load them. There's probably like in the early the first in the 2000s, video codecs were a nightmare. I'd say up until 2015 or so, video codecs were a huge... Does anybody remember that? Video codecs used to be a huge... it's not something people even think about now, but that used to be a huge issue. Am I right?
I was too young to care.
Yeah, video codecs, that used to be a really hot topic in computers. So before we move on, do we have any questions about Linux or SCP stuff? Do we have any wrong opinions that suggest that anything other than Linux Mint is the one true Linux? I'm joking when I say stuff like that. I don't really feel that strongly about it. Let's take a look at the comments before we move on. Let's see. Happy New Year. Linux Mint. Bazite is for lazy people like me. It's good. As long as, but I had problems when I tried to like install things that weren't meant to be installed. I guess like the thing with Bazite is like the system files are read only, and you can't change them, and that makes a lot of sense for a console. So it's probably, without knowing, having that much experience with it, it's Bazite is probably extremely stable, which is exactly what you would want for a console OS. But for a developer machine, I don't know if it's going to be that great. It seems like you're going to have to jump through a lot of hoops, and you're going to be fighting it the whole time, trying to get things to work. Mr. Opportunity. Yeah, true, so true. I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Oh, we were doing it live when we were. You said something and.
All right. Tablets. Never had one. Never used one. Never saw use. Yeah, tablets were like. It was this madness. It's kind of like AI now. It's probably worse than what AI is now. Like it was just repeated. Like, oh, mobile. What's your mobile strategy? What's your tablet? They didn't say tablet strategy. What's your? But it's like. It was like it was, and it was also kind of like wrapped up in mobile. And like it was just repeated like every day that the PC was dead and tablets had replaced the PC, and like we were all going to be working on tablets. We were all going to be like rubbing our fingers all over tablets to type. Like they were serious. Like, oh, like businesses are going to get rid of their PCs and use tablets. And I was like, yeah, I think I'll keep my computer. You can do whatever you want.
Businesses did get rid of their computers and got laptops, but that was more due to COVID than anything.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. So this weekend is very exciting because this is the final weekend of the Leadwerks Winter Games 2025. This is the return of the game tournaments, which we haven't done in a few years. So it's very, very fun. And we're seeing some things go up. The tournament ends Monday. So Sunday is the last day to get your game up. And the rules are, if you submit your game in our download section, if it's your first tournament, I will send you the Leadwerks sticker pack, which consists of this one, which is about 3 inches wide or so. This one, which is a little bit smaller. And then this nice big logo decal here. That's the first. If it's your first tournament, you get that. It's not a competition. Like if you enter, you get a prize. I will send this to your house. You have to enter your mailing address so I can send them. So I know where to send them. But yeah, you'll get a prize. I will send these to you. I have them right now. I've got a big stack of them. And if you've ever entered before, I will send you the Returning Champions prize package, which consists of the sticker pack, plus the luxury Leadwerks high capacity USB drive with leather siding, magnetic closing here. This box, it's very nice. This one got a little bit crushed, but I'll order like a batch of them, so hopefully they'll come in a big box that doesn't get smashed. It has a magnetic closure. Very, very nice. High capacity. How high? Well, that depends on how many people enter the contest. Because they get more expensive as the capacity goes up. But for this one, because this is such a special tournament, the Return of the Games tournament, I wanted to do something very special for you. And so that's the Returning Champions prize package. Let's take a look at the games that are being uploaded. So the way you do this is you go to Downloads here.
Developer, hello?
Yeah.
Hi. Yeah. Yo, is this, wait, are you the owner of this project?
I am the owner of Leadwerks, yes.
Oh my god. Yes, I haven't tried the client. I just signed up, but I'm very curious. I'm very excited to play it. Um, Wait, how is it easy moddable? How how is that easy moddable then? How does this work? Your engine?
Well, I'm glad you're here. Let me give you a really quick introduction. This is actually the best. This is the best place to start, actually.
Crash course.
Yep, the crash course that walks through. So we have. Let me give you a link right here. Welcome, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have like several hours of video tutorials, and the first series is the crash course, and this will walk you through all the aspects of the editor, so that you can. It'll teach you like how to use the editor without going into programming. Okay, and then the second series is you want to switch this over to Lua here, which is the default. But the second series, this just teaches you the Lua programming language without going into any details of the software itself. This just makes sure that you know how programming in Lua works, and it's written with the idea that it's written with the assumption that the reader doesn't have any previous knowledge. So if you do have previous knowledge, it'll probably help. But like the idea is to have everything there that you need to know. The third video series will talk about 3D spatialization, and the intention here is to teach you how to think in 3D. And because this is important information to. If you understand this, then it's very easy to know how to move things around and make things act the way you want in a game. And then the fourth series here, this talks about the common techniques that you're going to use to set up to make things actually happen in a game. Raycasting is a big one, collision, proximity testing. It'll show you.
Oh yeah.
Like this kind of stuff, and then finally it ends with shows you how to make a simple playable game. So that's my quick answer of how to do it and how to learn. And if you have more questions, we'll be available on Discord or in the forum.
You made this yourself?
Yeah, of course.
How much time did that cost, bro? It's like a lot, I see.
To write Leadwerks?
Yeah.
Like 20 years.
Yeah, I was
20
going to say
years.
it started 20 years ago with Leadwerks 1.
Pretty much.
I'm interested in the SCP game. Very interested.
Okay, so the SCP game, like what happened? Okay, so before I had a game engine, I wrote a level editor called 3D World Studio, and 3D World Studio was what the developer of SCP Containment Breach used to make the levels for that game. And then he went on to make Barotrauma, and I went on to make Leadwerks Game Engine. But that's why we have the plan is to include a new build of 3D World Studio to go up with SCP Containment Breach on Steam. So that's what that connection is.
And there are gonna be more mods for it if it's get released and get popular. So. Because I have another game I've played, it was like SCP Containment Breach multiplayer or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you have mods in that with a workshop. I'm not sure. What should I expect with the mods in this game?
Well, the plan is to get the original editor running again and get that set up, and then we'll add Steam Workshop support so that mods can be supported. I also another thing actually, now that you mention it. It also occurred to me last week that the Blitz. Okay, so we've been talking about possibilities for beyond just like making new rooms and new levels for the game, like actually modifying the code. How can that be done to make more, add new enemies with new behavior and stuff? And
Yeah.
the Blitz 3D. So SCP Containment Breach is written in a programming language called Blitz 3D, and Blitz 3D is its own compiler, and it's kind of a funny compiler because it can actually run the game without creating an executable, which isn't usually most compilers will create an executable and then run it. Blitz 3D is a little bit different, and I'm not sure exactly. I don't think it's interpreted code. I think it's machine code. I think it's a real compiler. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, but it occurred to me that it could be possible to just package the Blitz 3D compiler with the game and make it so that the game just compiles every time it runs. And if we did that, then we could have mods that just overwrote like certain code files in the game. And if we did that, there would be no need for any script language at all, because a script language running in Blitz 3D would probably be very slow. And that would impact, in a single-threaded application, that would impact your frame rate pretty quickly. So I was actually thinking it might actually be possible to distribute the game as like a just-in-time compiled thing. That might actually work. Sorry if that's too technical, but that was an interesting thing that came up last week, and I wrote a little bit about that on Discord.
And like, I see the workshop items for the multiplayer, the original game. It's like most of them are like sound changes and texture changes.
Right.
Different textures. But should I just expect like mods so I should expect like mods that are more expandable, or do more things than just change sounds and
So things that use code.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying, like that idea. I mean, it's just an idea right now. I don't know if it's going to work,
Yeah.
but that could be a possibility. I'll have to try it, and I'll have to try it and see how well it works, but that might actually work.
And it's like a new engine, right? So I don't know. I always got once in a while a memory access violation or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, should I expect to get a 2 in your new game or something, or no?
I don't in the Blitz 3D based game, in SCP Containment Breach, I don't think that's ever going to go away unless we rewrite the whole game in C++.
Yeah.
And we can do what we can to reduce it, but it's probably, I think that's probably just always going to be a possibility for that game.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I was thinking about Blitz 3D compiler. I mean, Blitz 3D doesn't compile into C. It compiles directly into assembly.
Right.
So that's probably it just compiles assembly into a memory, and then runs it. No need for the disk.
Okay.
While Blitzmax uses, it creates a C file, a C++ file, and then compiles it.
Really? Are you sure?
Yeah, I think so.
I was under that impression, and I think Mark told me that wasn't the case.
Okay.
I think it is. I think Blitzmax is a real compiler.
I think I'm
You're thinking of Monkey.
mixing it up with, yeah, exactly, Monkey.
Yeah.
That did it.
That's a transpiler.
Oh, true. Yeah.
All right. Where were we? Thank you for your question.
We were looking at some entries in the
Oh, yeah.
interest games.
Okay. All right. So we've got the first one to get up there is Nerva by AIAF. And this is a simple puzzle game. Well, let's see how he describes it. In Nerva, two powers collide across the battlefield. Players must expand their influence by capturing neutral territory, strengthening their positions through geometric connections, and hunting for the enemy's hidden king. Strategy is key. Do you spread thin to find the king, or build a fortified tower that cannot be breached? And this is written in Leadwerks 4, which is fine. He's using, I think he's using Linux, so.
Yeah.
And this looks like it was. This actually looks like it was taken on Linux. Okay, so he was the first to submit his game. Doesn't matter as long as it's before the deadline. Snowball VR. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, sure. So I was experimenting with VR in Leadwerks 5 since the beta, right? So I just wanted to, make a VR game. I'll probably never make a VR game ever again. But, so this is just a simple game where you throw snowballs at the targets. You collect points. It's a nice arcade game. The throwing physics is not as where I want it to be, but it adds a carnival difficulty factor to the game. So, and everything is written in Lua, so it can be integrated with the launcher once the launcher supports Leadwerks 5 games, and Steam leaderboards is a possibility in the future as well.
Awesome. And most importantly, it may not be perfect, but it actually got released, which is the whole idea behind the game tournaments.
Yep, and you just need a VR headset to play it. So
yeah, that's going to be fun. It just got uploaded like this morning.
Yesterday, I kind of just
made
the logo real quick and just bundled it up. I had it done for like weeks and just, I would poke at it, see if I can improve it, and so on. And I was like, you know what, it is what.
Well, what's important is to release something. That's
I wanted to make sure it was released. I didn't want to forget to upload it, but
yeah. So, and now there is no winner for this competition. Everybody's a winner. But I gotta say, this looks pretty impressive. I'd like to see some more screenshots here of the actual gameplay. Let's take a look at...
Yu has been posting his progress updates the last month.
Oh, he's got them on the forum.
He's got them on the forum too.
Yeah. He's been posting some pretty impressive stuff. It looks pretty fun.
I think his game is also written in Lua as well.
So it looks like this is about the Mars Ingenuity. What's the rover? Is called Curiosity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember hearing about this. I remember hearing about when they first told me about this when I was at NASA, that they were going to make a helicopter fly on Mars, and I was like, no way. But it actually works. This one looks really interesting. There's no winner. Everybody's a winner, but I gotta say I'm really looking forward to... I haven't been able to play this yet, but I'm really looking forward to this. It looks very, very cool. Congratulations to you.
Yeah, I wonder if he took in consideration Mars' gravity. That would be kind of neat.
We'll find out. Mars' gravity.
Wouldn't it be less?
What about the life forms, the aliens?
There might be. I don't know if there's aliens or not. What if there are? We'll have to go looking for alien. You got this this orange person. He looks like an alien.
He's not. No, it has to be the Martians from Mars Attacks.
Oh yeah. I don't want to get copyright striked, so I'm not going to play his video. But I always love hearing the inspirational music that he includes on his programming videos. Yeah, thank you, you. This is a big inspiration to everyone. Okay. So yeah, that's the Winter Games Tournament. There's you just gotta submit your game into the download section. Right here, community, downloads. And then click on games, submit a file. Should be in the games category. Just put it in a zip file, upload it right here. And then you need to go to addresses here on your account and just enter your mailing address there so that I know where to send your stickers or your prize package or whatever it is you're getting. But yeah, I will mail that stuff to you.
What is the best way to publish a game? You just go to the project folder and copy it and remove all source code?
If you go to File and then Publish, that will remove all the files that you don't need. And it'll also like pack everything up into an encrypted zip file for you. And then just take everything in that in the resulting folder and just put that in a zip file and upload it. And that's the easiest way to do it.
And this publish works also for C++ projects.
Yeah, it works. It'll just work the same.
Okay. Gonna try that.
Okay. Okay, now go ahead.
What's the turnaround time for the prizes?
Whenever I get them, it should be quick, but I still have to, like, I'm not going to order some of these things I'm not going to order. The stickers I can send out immediately. This thing, I still have to order these because I don't know how many I'm going to order.
Right. I don't know, I was just curious.
It'll be, within... I'll probably have everything sent out within 1 month. Unless there's some delay for some reason. This will take a few weeks to ship to me. And then I have to send them out. The stickers, I have all the stickers right now.
And you get one of each, right?
Of each sticker?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, and the returning Champions prize package, I almost forgot there's one mystery bonus item included.
When would that be revealed?
When you receive it.
Okay.
The mystery bonus item. Okay, so Monkey Frog Studio. He had a proposal for a change in the design of the engine. It was actually like a bug report, and then I was like, well, it's working the way I programmed it to work. So if we change this, then we're changing the design. We need to decide if we really want to do that or not. And basically what he's saying is that, like, okay, let's say you create a prefab here. You create a block and you put a barrel on there, and then you make the barrel a child of this box. And then you save that whole thing as a prefab. And then you place it in your level. If you go back and change the prefab like this, you move the position of that barrel, and then you open the level again with those prefabs in it, it does not change the position, the orientation of the sub-object. He thinks that it should. I'm not sure what I think. I want to ask you what you think. Do you want...
How did it work in Leadwerks 4?
I don't know. It was probably stored in the file. So, I mean, I could see an argument either way. Like, this would, if the orientation of prefab sub-objects is just locked in place relative to the parent, that would kind of make sense to me. It would also... I feel like he's probably right, but I want to ask you guys first, because it's like in the rare situation where you do need to move a prefab sub-object, you can always just unlink the prefab so that these objects are no longer part of a prefab, and then you can move the sub-object. But he is right, like most of the time, if you place a prefab with a hierarchy, you probably want to be able to go back and modify that hierarchy in the future and just have those changes be reflected in all the maps that it's used in. I feel like he's probably right, but I want to ask you guys what you think.
Well, to be honest with you, I expected the prefabs to work like that, where everything was locked in place, and then if you change the prefab file, everything would just update to reflect what's in the prefab file.
Okay. Let's say you've got a prefab for a doorway with a door.
Okay.
And the door is a separate piece. The moving door is like a child of the door frame. And you're placing that around, and then you decide you want the door to be opened. Well, because it's a prefab, you can't move that child.
Right, but I'm going to have more closed doors than open doors. So I would just unlink it, set the script component to be, or the script object to be open, and then if for whatever reason that door changes, I only have to change one door instead of 100 doors.
Okay, so I created a poll here, and I tried to describe the two situations, and I'm not getting much feedback right now. I've only gotten 2 votes on it. So if you guys have an opinion about this, I'd like to hear it. You can vote in the thread there. You have to be logged into your forum account. But you can vote there.
I was suggesting it could be an option that you could select which properties should be inherited and which should not.
That will lead to many bug, like that'll cause a lot of bugs.
Probably, yeah. Now I understand it will be quite confusing, but yeah. But when I have a prefab, I really want that it kind of inherits everywhere, because I could just copy it everywhere. Right now, it just makes a copy. You copy it once and never changes.
So you're in favor of locking prefab sub-objects in place?
I'm in prefab that the prefab with the master configuration. When I change the master configuration, it replicates all child which use the prefab.
It does that for everything except position, rotation, and scale.
Okay.
Are you saying that position and rotation and scale, of course for the topmost parent, like that's going to be different for each instance that you place, but are you saying that for sub-objects in that prefab, are you saying that they should be locked in place like that? So that's always loaded from the prefab?
Yeah, I'm using prefabs like a, design components, like maybe some kind of stove or something. I just want it's nice how it is, and if there's some correction, I'm gonna correct it, and then the corrections replicate everywhere. So
I'm just concerned that if I do this, then somebody else is going to come back in a week and say, like, why can't I move these objects?
Yeah, but maybe you could have like a one flag, like inherit.
No, please, please, no. That'll get very complicated. Yeah, so when I phrase it like I'm taking something away, and then people start getting second thoughts. If I phrase it like, well, see, do you want to not be able to move those objects, those sub objects? Yes. Then people start going back and forth.
Mm-hmm. That's what I wanted to have as optional. So it would still work as it works now, but with an option, you could make it work differently, like more inheritable.
And that's not good, because some scenes will be reliant on it working one way, some scenes will be reliant on it working another way, and if it's a per object option, then that'll just be a nightmare. We got to make a choice. Yep. We got to make a choice, guys. So, let me know in the poll there. Any other opinions on this?
Or how about that? If you go to a scene and you select the prefabs and then say kind of like update from master, would that be possible?
Yeah, that's a possibility.
I don't know. I just want my instances from source engine back, which was just a map file, which you load in a map file, so you can map all your map.
That's what a prefab is.
Well, no, an instance. Well, an instance locks everything, right? So you can't edit the instance like Monkey Frog wants to do. But with an instance, it can have internal I/O communications within that instance,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can set variable flags to it. So let's say you have like a lamp, right? You have the model, you have the spotlight and the sprite, whatever, and then you can expose the light key value to the instance.
Where's
So
that
you
instance
can have-
stored? Is that stored in a separate file?
It's stored in a separate VMF file.
Can you go back and edit that VMF file?
Yes, you can.
If you move the position of a sub-object in that VMF file, what happens to its
You
position?
Can't. You can't. When you select an instance, it's like an entity. So when you select an instance,
So it's like
think about-
one thing. It's just treating it as like one single object.
right?
That
Think
is
about it.
interesting. That is interesting because there
Actually,
is.
Yeah, that would be nice. We could have two types of prefab, like locked prefabs and then editable prefabs.
Right.
So the locked one would be that they always read only in your map, and the other ones could be changed, but they wouldn't inherit anything.
Well, the editable, that happens if you right click on an object and you select there's a menu item that says unlink prefab, and then it's no longer a prefab, it's all editable.
Right. So I just want to educate you. Like Hammer has prefabs, which is pretty much like what you're doing. Everything's locked in a group. But if you edit a prefab, it doesn't affect the other prefabs that you already placed. That's why Valve made the instance system. So an instance, like the Left 4 Dead 2 car alarms, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's an instance. But the map designer can change the color of the car still.
Right. So that sounds like what they're calling prefabs is more like a template for creating an object, and then it just loses its connection back to the original file.
Right, but you can still make I/O connections to it. So think about a good example is like the Portal 2 door. That's an instance. It does a lot of things behind the scenes, but you can still tell it to open. You can still tell it to close. You can still, and it has a lot of internal logic in it to make sure that the area portal gets closed. Nothing's in the doorway before it closes. So all that internal logic is still in the file, but but in a test chamber, I'm just concerned about if the door's open or closed.
Yeah. So going back to so in Leadwerks, should prefab sub-objects be stored in the scene file, or should they always be loaded from the original prefab file?
They should only. So when it comes to prefabs, I think they should be it should be locked into the file like an instance, but it could be possible where you can just dump the contents of a map file into the scene as loose objects. But the prefab section, I expect it to work like instances, or at least I want it to work like instances.
Well, please add your vote then.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with more.
Okay. Please add your vote, guys. All right, so Monkey Frog, he couldn't be here in this meeting, but he might be watching this in a video. So that was our discussion of your idea. I gave it reasonable consideration, and we'll see what. I kind of agree with Monkey Frog, and what you guys are saying, but I just want to make sure that I don't want to make a change without consulting everyone at first. And if you have a different opinion, feel free to let me know either on Discord or forum or in the YouTube comments.
I would also really like if when you select an instance or a prefab, it actually highlights in green. But I know that's a limitation on the selection shader.
It also kind of breaks the
Yeah, and
UI,
then you have
the
to worry.
rules of the
Yeah, and
UI.
then yeah, and then you have to worry about color blindness and everything. So
Rod Bauer says, "I vote for Skyrim, of course." Well, duh. That's what we've been talking about this whole time, dude. All right, so before we continue, I just want to give a shout out to everyone who's recently given us a thumbs up since the Leadwerks 5 release on Steam. That includes Primar Rus, Aztec Shaman, Ananto, Pridrito, Nijek999WW, Two Cats Yelling, Comunista Safado, Reap Blue, Mapache 3D, Tapani Neoxa, and Kaima 401. Thank you guys. I really appreciate your review on Steam. It makes a huge difference. And if you would like to give us a thumbs up, add your review on Steam, I will read your name out every single week. So thank you, and please add your review. It really, really helps and it makes a big difference. Thank you. All right. Leadworks works. One wonders if it just works. Or does it lead? Who knows? I just came up with the name because I thought it sounded cool. So, thank you all for joining. That's all the material I've got here next week. I'm here every weekend, folks. Yeah, are there any final questions? Check out. You can check. Oh, go ahead.
Do you have any, or let's say the example which comes with the engine? How do you activate Steam? It has some code, but when I uncomment it, it just gives compiler error. So I would have a working example where you connect to a Steam lobby and send broadcast messages.
It's a C++ project.
The one which comes with the engine, this the default project.
Yeah. So
You create a new project.
you might if you look at in the Visual Studio project, you might have to check the properties of the Steam lib and make sure that that's included in the project. It might not be included by default. I don't remember, but it's set up so that it's easy to do. But you might have to allow the you might have to it might be the Steam lib might be excluded from the project by default.
When I looked at the Steam header, it actually includes it via Pragma, but I can't figure out how to activate it.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, it uses the Pragma thing. I don't know actually. Like, I don't remember off the top of my head. Like this afternoon, I'll check.
It would be nice if the example which comes with the engine that would work. That would be enough for me.
Yeah, I mean it's not very hard. Off the top of my head, I don't remember. I can put I can write, or if you create a forum thread, like that'll remind me to answer the question. But I can look at that. I have another meeting after this, but I can look at that and get that answer to you. Vega is typing something. Question, or maybe he's just posting a funny
Vega did
picture.
have a question.
Are there any plans to add more tracing than just lines and spheres, like a box cast? What? I don't understand the question.
So like in different engines, you can actually cast, but with like different shapes. So you can just create a collider and then raycast using that entire collider instead of just like a sphere or just a line. And that's really helpful if you want to create like a custom character controller.
Funny you should mention that. We have that functionality. It's not, and I use it actually. It's not part of the. It didn't make it into the official API, but it's there. I think the command is called collide in C++, and one of the reasons it didn't make it in is because I didn't know what to call it, because Lua has a function called collide. So I might call it like test collision. I think I can get that. I think I can get the documentation added to that and get it into Lua with the whatever we end up calling it. I think that's something that I can add in 5.0.2. Actually, I can probably do that next week. I just need, like, what should that command be called? I know exactly what you're talking about. It's a convex raycast, or like it's a collider raycast.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like check collision or
Collision check collision.
yeah. Test sounds a bit like test function,
And
but
yeah, and I mean you can make it return like a list of all the collisions that would occur, which is very useful.
Yeah, and then maybe with the normals.
Yeah, it includes that. Yeah, it's got that information, and it's got the normal, the position, and I actually use this for picking up objects. That's how, like, that's a way, like, so when you're picking up an object, if you're using physics forces to control it, like, you get kind of a little bit of a rubber banding effect if you move the camera quickly. My way of dealing with that is I actually do a convex raycast like you're describing, and I check to see if the object would have collided with anything. And if it's clear, then I just instantly move it without using the physics forces. And that way, and if it hits anything, then I just let the physics forces do their job. And then that way you get really snappy. You can pick up an object and it moves with the camera like instantly. But at the same time, it still uses the collision. It still uses the physics system if a collision does occur. So you're right. That is very useful. I need to know what to call it.
Yeah, I don't have a name off the top of my head, unfortunately, but it would be like really helpful because I'm really into this old source engine kind of movement controller feel, and so I'm trying to recreate that a lot.
Yeah, we had very good results with that approach. I'll get that in next week for you.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep.
And there's another thread that I posted about like the components panel. I sent it in the chat here if you scroll up a bit.
Did you post it this morning?
Probably.
Okay, I haven't looked at
so,
it yet
like-
because it looked like it was going to be in. I looked it from the title. I thought, okay, this is going to take a while to read, and I wanted to give it proper attention.
Yeah, fair.
All right, we'll read it now. Component management, but I haven't found component refresh. Is there a way in the editor without restarting it? They should. The components, it should. This in the UI, refresh behavior almost seems random. The components, they're actually stored in the entity definitions file, or not file, but in the there's a folder called entity definitions, and there's a bunch of JSON files in there. That's where the definitions are stored, and that way, like, those definitions can get automatically created from either Lua or C++ code. But if you want to delete the script, you got to delete that JSON file.
So it's in the entity definitions, and then there's a bunch of JSON files, one per component, right? And then
Yeah.
it describes the component and like the
Well,
properties.
it has all the information in there. That's how the editor sees. That's how the editor
when I
knows
create
what
a
to
new component, do I have to do it through the editor, or will it auto recognize a new CPP file and then auto create the JSON file for it?
I think it'll just. I mean, the editor has to be running because that's where that is generated.
Oh yeah.
But I think you can probably just do it outside of the editor if you wanted to. For C++ projects, using the editor is a lot easier because it will automatically insert the CPP file into the Visual Studio project, which is an extra step that you'd have to do manually. But yeah, it'll. I think. I mean, the easiest way is to do it in the editor, because then it'll just create the files you need. So are you using Lua or C++?
I'm using C++.
Okay, so for C++, you've got to have the CPP file. Obviously, you've got the header file. The CPP file, obviously, that has to be inserted into your Visual Studio project. The header file has... The editor will read the header file and extract all the properties from that, and then turn that into a JSON file that gets stored in the entities definition folder. So those are all the steps that happen, and the editor just takes care of that automatically. If you just go ahead and create a header file, it might... I don't know if that'll work. If you just...
Let me try,
I'm not sure.
I guess.
By the way, I was also today playing around the player controller, character controller, and it works pretty well when you just use like a set force in all directions and a fixed force, and when you stop pressing the key, it applies force 0. There's only one problem, it may like a fall down on the side, but I thought, what if you make kind of like these dolls, stand-up dolls, where the weight is very low, so in case you fall down, it will automatically stand up by the physics, gravity.
You're talking about a custom character controller?
Yeah.
Well, the problem with that is I've tried stuff like that before. The problem is, for every reaction, there's an opposite reaction. If you... The player physics is very, very specialized. The player doesn't have any rotation, actually. Because if you have like a force that corrects their rotation, then that force can have other unintended effects. And it's really hard to do things like getting them to just stand on a slope without wobbling around, or without it pushing those forces pushing them over. It's really, really hard to do a character control that's actually like realistic physics. It's really hard.
Yeah. Maybe you could have some kind of physics body separate from the visual body. You could have kind of like a clamp to the visual, like a slowly coming to the rest point.
Yeah, that's one way to do it, and that's actually a way you can do it. You can use to like smooth the height. I would recommend doing something like that for the height, like smooth the camera Y position, so that when you go upstairs and stuff, you're not just instantly. That'll give you a very nice appearance. I gotta say, like the motion, and I put a lot of time into the motion, the smoothing, the timing in 5.0.2, and I gotta say, it is so smooth. It looks so good. When will RPG be added to SCP Containment Breach? Oh man, is this gonna turn into like a joke that people use for years? Because I was saying, like, I was explaining that, like, I'm kind of hesitant to make any changes to the gameplay in Containment Breach, because my idea of what's good might not necessarily be better. Because if it's up to me, I mean, if I'm gonna improve the gameplay, we're gonna get rocket launchers. You know what? Let's take a look at... Can we get a link to Metal? I posted that a while ago. Can we get a link to the Metal gameplay? I want to show you guys my Blitz 3D game that I wrote.
I guess I'll play the role of Jamie and pull it up for you. Give me one moment.
I know it's in the general somewhere.
I'm just gonna go to your
So,
channel.
It's not on my YouTube channel.
You deleted it.
I never uploaded it. No, there's a funny video that somebody else posted.
Oh.
And it's like well edited. It's in the general Discord chat.
Oh.
So
That's what you're talking about.
Actually, like 10 years before SCP Containment Breach, I wrote a game in Blitz 3D. It's called Metal. And it was originally like the intention was to be. I was working with a team of people, and the intention was it was going to be a single player first person shooter. It was like inspired by Far Cry, probably. This was before Crisis. It was probably inspired by Far Cry, and our genius idea for our game was that you were going to be fighting against this alien force that was like this amorphous, like Terminator 2 kind of thing that was made out of metal, and like the environment was going to be made out of metal that like liquid metal that constantly changed around you. We thought it was such a great idea, and then we realized we had no idea how to do that or what it would look like. And I ended up just going on and making the entire game myself, and it ended up being nothing like what we said we were going to make. But that's okay. I'm going to show you guys. This is hilarious.
Thanks for pulling that up.
And somebody I saw this. When was this uploaded? Okay, 6 years ago. All right, it's current enough.
You probably wanna.
I think the volume just went out on the video. I think it's just the way it's okay.
Look at the stormtroopers.
Real mirrors without ray tracing. This one's my favorite.
I like that recorder feature.
Lightning gun.
Bruh.
That's explosive type really.
This is probably the best level, like artistically. Yeah, I designed the levels and all this stuff. I just using whatever textures I could find. This is the biggest level. That little spot there where the fence is, that's a nice little trap because I think there's a weapon in there or armor or something. But it's also dangerous to go in there. You gotta say the AI is pretty good in this. Like when they're out running around in an open area, like it's actually not bad. I mean, they follow tracks, but they also like have a lot of like if they get into fight mode, they'll run around a lot just randomly. Some of the sound effects are just added in the video, but it makes it funnier.
Show us your professionalism.
Yeah, look at them all fighting, dude. So, what do you think? Should there be a re-release of Metal on Steam?
You could tighten up the graphics a bit.
There is no level 7. Alright. Yeah, Blitz 3D had mirrors. What a fever dream. Yeah, pretty much.
You said
Yeah,
that was gonna
the mirrors were so it just copied the mesh upside down.
Yeah, 15 megabytes of RAM. I don't know. I think it could be a hit.
Are you still thinking about mirrors in Leadwerks 5, or
Yes.
not?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just interested in using the best tool for the job and ignoring popular opinion because popular opinion has gone mad.
No, I understand, but if you just use a render texture, the quality wouldn't be that clear, correct? It wouldn't be like.
It could be if you wanted it to. If you didn't want it, if there was distortions in the image, like if there was a normal map, I would probably render it at half resolution, and that way it would be the lighting would be less expensive. I would probably do like for water, I would probably do like half or quarter resolution for that reason because you won't be able to if it's a distorted image, you wouldn't be able to tell anyways. And it might actually look better if it was like half resolution, if it was a little bit blurry. So yeah, that's my game, Metal. It's not quite as advanced as SCP Containment Breach, but it does have rocket launchers. So maybe Metal Containment Breach. Ooh. We had a rocket launcher to Containment Breach. Boom, headshot. SCP-106 is wasted. I don't know. Do you think that would improve the gameplay? I have a lot of ideas. All right.
I mean, to make it a third person, just need to move the camera up a bit.
Yeah.
Point at the player. So.
All right. So, yeah, thank you. That was a fun week. Fun discussion. I think that's all for this week. But thank you all for joining, and I will see you on the forum and on Discord. See you next week.